Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to the meeting. This meeting is going to be about all the barking that has been going on today, even though there has been nothing to bark at.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Monday, October 5th. I'm J.E. Skeets, and joining us here, as always, we got Tass Mellis.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Tassie. We got the bearded one, Trey Kirby.
Hey-o.
Hey-o. The international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Last but not least, making the magic happen, JD.
Hello.
There he is. Here we are. On a Monday, shout out to everyone joining us live right now on YouTube. Get your questions in the comments there. You never know when we're going to pop up one here on the show. Your comments and your questions there. Keep those coming for our next beach step in as well. Email those ones in. nodunks@theathletic.com or tweet them in at NoDunksInc. We got tweet of the night. We'll actually hit the beach, little beach tease for you because we got so many great questions. But we start with Game 3. Trey Kirby's fired up. I know that. Jimmy Butler's big night helps the Heat cut the Lakers finals lead to 2-1. Jimmy Butler, 40 points, 11 boards, 13 assists. What a game, Tass, from Jimmy Gets Buckets.
Jimmy Butler got LeBron. That's all that matters in this game. It doesn't matter if the Lakers win the next two games. If this goes the way of Allen Iverson walking over Ty Lue and it's 4-1, it doesn't matter. Jimmy can go to his grave saying, I beat LeBron, and especially because it was like a point guard versus point guard one-on-one performance. Jimmy played more point guard in this game, shouting things out, commanding the offense, really making things happen without Goran Dragic out there, more than I've ever seen in his career. This was the best game of his career, and he had it against LeBron James. That's all that matters. That's all that counts. The Lakers lost Game 3 of the Denver Nuggets series last round. It sure feels like they can come back and dominate. Anthony Davis had 9 shots, and the Heat were packing the paint, so much kudos to Eric Spoelstra. LeBron was giving the ball away. There's a lot of reasons why the Lakers lost this game, but in the end, all we should be talking about for at least 8 to 9 minutes, and Jimmy Butler's stories to his kids and his grandkids, his great-grandkids, hopefully, will be about that one time he got LeBron and pulled the chair on him and was going at him, and LeBron didn't want to guard at him at the end. He was on him and took those switches gleefully and jumped on somebody else and let Markieff Morris or KCP or whoever guard Jimmy. Jimmy was a killer. That's it. That's all we got to say. Jimmy did everything for this team.
Trey, you must have been beaming watching this game. 14 or 20 from the floor. He was doing it all. Yeah, well, talk to me, man.
I just woke up at 3:30 in the morning, started dribbling out on the deck, trying to get everybody in the house up. I had to eventually wait until about 7:30 when Laura and the girls woke up. I'm like, how could you sleep so long? Jimmy Butler had an all-time classic finals game against LeBron. I can't believe I lived long enough to see it, but he was just incredible. It was every play that you needed from Jimmy Butler. He was making plays. He was somehow still getting criticized for not scoring enough. Wait until the game is over, Mark Jackson. Wait until the game is over, Jeff Van Gundy. Have we not figured this out yet? Jimmy tries to score when there's somebody who is smaller and not as strong as he is. And when there's somebody who's bigger, he's driving to the hoop. He's trying to draw help, and then he's kicking it out. It was an incredible performance. Shades of Dwayne Wade, honestly, in the 2006 finals. Game 3, I went back and watched those YouTube highlights last night, and it's basically the same. No 3-point attempts for Jimmy Butler, getting in the lane time and time again, shooting a ton of free throws. This was a game from the late 90s, early 2000s. Just fun to watch and awesome to see. And yeah, exactly like Tass is saying, Jimmy's always going to have this moment. Who knows if the Heat are able to pull this off as a comeback? If the Heat and 6th pick comes true, that would be amazing. But for one night, Jimmy bested LeBron.
Yeah, you said it was comparable to sort of Wade in 06. I saw a lot of people saying that was a LeBron-like performance too, Lee. The way he went about his business, cooking everybody, going right at KCP, right at Danny Green, right at J.R. Smith, right at Caruso, right at Kuzma. Hey, LeBron, do you want to guard me every once in a while? Okay, 4th quarter, 8:30 to go. I'll go at you and flip that one in that tied the game. That's when the Heat were actually down. Went at Markieff Morris too late and sort of iced it. He went at everybody, but it was LeBron-like because as we always do with LeBron. Oh, wow, 40 points. This guy is a great scorer, but he's also a great passer. Maybe underrated passer. Maybe the greatest passer of all time. But Jimmy was incredible. Those 2 fourth-quarter dimes, the one where he swung it out to Kelly Olynyk for the 3, amazing. And then he had that little slip bounce pass, little pocket pass, as Mark Jackson called it, inside to Kelly on a little bit of confusion. Lakers defense there. That was gorgeous as well. I'll
let you go, Lee, but I got to say, 26 potential assists for Jimmy Butler last night. Huge number. Huge.
Amazing.
Well, he's taking the LeBron MVP storyline there. Scored or assisted on 27 of the Heat's 41 baskets. That's supposed to be LeBron's narrative for the MVP in this series. He stole that.
Look, I know we're all slobbering over Jimmy this morning, and deservedly so. But I'm going to be a Debbie Downer here because that pass out to Kelly Olynyk that hit the 3. Now, earlier in the game, twice he did those things where he should have gone for a layup and should have scored, and instead he turned the ball over for his team, and it could have cost him at that crucial moment. It didn't. Kelly hits a 3. Great, the Heat go on to win. But there were a couple of times last night I was screaming at Jimmy Butler as well because he gets those sort of advantages where he's in the paint, and then he does something crazy. So, this was an incredible performance. But if they had lost this game, I would have been pointing at those 2 factors a lot to say, Jimmy, take over. Don't be afraid. Go in and get the contact because, again, not shooting the 3-pointer is so important, I think, here. He's not a great 3-point shooter. We know he's hit some clutch ones, but he stayed in his bag last night. He stayed in his lane, which is, and you pointed out there, Skeets, when someone not named LeBron is on him, he's basically got to go at that guy and get to the free throw line or get into the paint. He's got that little step back or at least draw contact to do whatever he has to do. And he did an incredible job of that last night because if you look at the box score, the Heat had more fouls than the Lakers and the Lakers shot more free throws for the game than the Heat. So it certainly wasn't as though the referees were trying to give Jimmy the game or anything like that. I mean, he was going in there working hard. And a couple of times as well, you saw him. I think it was KCP right at the end there really got him too. And there were other moments where the Lakers hit him. So Jimmy was absorbing all that contact and just put his team on his back last night. But he also did trust his teammates in some very, very crucial times there. And Herro hit that 3. Duncan Robinson hit a 3. Yep. We mentioned the Kelly Olynyk one. That was just a truly masterful performance from Jimmy last night. One of the greatest final performances I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think that's not hyperbole there for sure to say that. I also thought they were going to lose this game. I don't know about you, Tass. I was like, wow, Jimmy's doing pretty impressive stuff here early because he set the tone right away, right? The Lakers were sloppy as hell. Well, I'm sure we'll get into them. AD's checked out. He gets into foul trouble. And still, as the game continued, it was close at half. The Lakers would always go on a run when the Heat would get it up to like a 12 or 13. They always had an answer. And you're like, oh, I've seen this type of game before. It's like, they're somehow playing sloppy, they're not playing all that well, and they're right there. And they got LeBron and AD, so they'll probably close it out. This will be a tough one for the Heat fans to stomach. And instead, it was, they gave up the lead. They gave up the lead there late, and I was like, well, here you go. When Rondo hit a layup, and you're like, all right, well, they're down, and okay, good night. This series is over. And instead, the Heat saved that final run for the right time, and Herro was instrumental, like Lee said. But I don't know about you, Tess. Did you think the Lakers were going to ultimately win this game? Because I sure as hell did.
For sure. And that's why LeBron going into half after being down so big and going into half after a Kyle Kuzma 3 that he set up, said to Jimmy Butler reportedly, we got you. We got you. And then at the end of the game after Jimmy kicked Bron's ass in the 4th, said, nah, we got you, man. So it felt like the Lakers were on their way back. They definitely have their lulls in games. So it felt like a Laker type game where they were going to explode. Anthony Davis was going to show up. But the Heat definitely took the life out of the Lakers. I don't want to just go onto the Lakers side of the ball and say, they didn't show up. They didn't have a good game. LeBron was passing to absolutely no one at times with those nasty 8 turnovers. The line looks okay, but it wasn't a very good game from him, and Anthony Davis 5 turnovers too. The Heat made them play poorly. And the only disappointment for me was, I mentioned it earlier, the last 4 minutes of the game. The Lakers still in striking distance there. Jimmy Butler was playing point guard. He had the ball, and I don't know if it's Frank Vogel's call, but we always give the credit for LeBron taking the best player on the other side defensively. And in this instance, LeBron just said, nah, soft switch. Markieff, you got him. KCP, you got him. Everybody else had a shot at him. There's 4 possessions, unlike Jamal Murray earlier in the playoffs where they went up 2-0 against the Nuggets. LeBron got lots of credit for the last few minutes for taking Jamal Murray just for a few possessions. And on these ones, LeBron just wasn't up for it. And Jimmy destroyed everybody who came at him and just, Pippen chose what he did. If he saw LeBron coming to help at times, he just barreled into him, like that play where he could have laid it in on the short side, but he saw LeBron, so I'll just fly into him. He wasn't going to make that shot, but he was just smart. Big guy, I'll go into him. Sometimes he does pass out. Maybe he's Rajon Rondo's rubbed off on him a little bit. It looked like Rondo going under the hoop and throwing out, but Jimmy got the best of the Lakers, and it just feels like it felt like the Lakers would come back, because it feels like the Lakers are sure good for a couple, just bad quarters, and that's what they do. But they also have a bad game, and they lost game 1 of the first series, lost game 1 of the second series, 1-5 both times. Similar thing happened to the Nuggets, losing game 3. They 1-5. So it's just, I'm giving excuses the other side, but Jimmy was the man. Jimmy forced the Lakers to play poorly and they were out of sorts for sure.
Yeah, and the Heat have been good offensively. At least in game 2, they were. The problem was they just didn't bring it from a physicality standpoint in game 2. And you could definitely tell that this was the first time that the Lakers had really felt the Heat's defense. Every time Anthony Davis caught the ball, they were right up in his space. They were underneath him, and then there was another guy coming to help. They only played zone, I guess, for 3 possessions, which, that seemed to work. They did a lot better job of making sure that Duncan Robinson didn't end up guarding LeBron, right? Where we saw the Lakers switching like crazy in the fourth quarter, and that was an advantage for Jimmy. That was the opposite of what the Heat were doing. They were keeping their best players on the Heat's best play, or on the Lakers' best players. I mean, I don't know if you would say Anthony Davis necessarily has a matchup, but he was taken out of this game by physical defense and, just having to face the same guy over and over again, rather than being able to manipulate the matchups and get exactly who they want. Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up, because if you go back and listen to our Saturday podcast, I guess it was, where we're breaking down game 2, we did talk about hey, the Heat had figured out what the Lakers defense was doing. They were scoring okay. It's just they couldn't get stops. They especially would get a first stop, and they couldn't get the second stop. They couldn't get the damn rebound, giving up offensive rebound after offensive rebound. So we saw that there. You're like, all right, they can hang offensively. And the numbers back that up, Lee. I mean, in the past 2 games, Miami has cooked them, when you're not talking garbage time and stuff like that. So that's without Bam and Dragic, of course. It was just, can they use, like Trey said, a little physicality, get those rebounds, shore them up, try and put a little more pressure on the Lakers, because they will turn the ball over. Even LeBron is guilty of that at times. And that was enough. The recipe was obviously the offense cooking, led by Jimmy Butler. But that was something we were looking at in game 2. Everybody was like, oh, this could be a sweep. They just might have too much talent. But there was something there. At least they had figured them out a little bit offensively, I think.
Yeah, well, and as well, by putting pressure on them by scoring and keeping up the scoring, it means that the Lakers had to do that. And you saw some of those sloppy turnovers were literally just guys just throwing the ball out of bounds, misreading what the other guy was supposed to do. They're just careless giveaways that you just give the possession back to the other team. But, one thing we know about Eric Spoelstra and his Miami Heat teams are they are competitive defensively, and we didn't see enough of that. Certainly in game 1, a little bit more of it in game 2. But then last night, Jay Crowder, I mean, he's, again, no one can guard Anthony Davis. No one can stop him, but at least he can give everything he's got physically to get into his face. He's a strong guy, get him uncomfortable so that he couldn't post him up, down low. And of course, when he picked up a couple of fouls early on, that just sort of threw Davis out of his rhythm. I mean, he still had a reasonable game when he went out there and played, but he knew that when he got the ball, he wasn't just going to be able to get sort of easy looks and easy shots. And that again, is what Miami has to do. Doesn't matter who it is. Even Kelly Olynyk, I thought, was physical last night. I mean, again, no one's, it's like Shaq in his prime. No one can sort of just move him out the way and stop him completely. But the best thing you can do is at least make him work. And I think the Heat did a much better job of that last night.
Yeah, AD really no impact on this game. And again, foul trouble, part of it. But he played 33 minutes, 15-5 though. And I think as Ziller pointed out, the craziest part is he let the Heat, AD did, get away with playing Kelly Olynyk and Myers Leonard 43 minutes in this game. That's a win for Miami when that happens. But yeah, it was weird. It was sloppy basketball.
Hey, let's give Myers Leonard a little bit of credit here, because he only played 13 minutes last night. But I thought just the energy that he brought to his team and that positivity really rubbed off on his teammates. He starts the game. He doesn't play a whole lot after that. But when he was out there, he was productive, and he was just doing everything he could. Physically, he was giving everything they could ask for. And then this is a guy, remember, who played a lot during the season, but he's been on the bench cheering his team on, being a real true teammate, gets his opportunity, does well, and then still sort of sits down for most of the game. So that's a real sign of professionalism there from Myers Leonard to go out there under those circumstances and play like that and not sort of think, hey, how come I'm not getting a few more minutes here, coach, when he performed in the minutes that they gave him.
Yeah, sounds like Lee liked the Wired segment with Myers Leonard there.
Oh, Mr. Reliable.
Listen, I mean, like people talk about that a lot, but it's one thing to talk about it and then to go out there and actually be that guy who's truly cheering on your teammate for the team, not for yourself.
Then talk it out there as well.
But I
don't talk about it, talk it.
Because, when Bam goes down, and I've said, I was going, Leonard and Olynyk and Derek Jones, I mean, they just can't handle Anthony Davis. But those guys, at least, Jones didn't play at all last night, maybe got a minute at the end. But Olynyk and Leonard are just really giving absolutely everything they got. Kelly Olynyk had another great game offensively, too. Yeah. Really, really good stuff. So I'm excited. I hope this isn't just that one game that LeBron, has a bad game and they bounce back and end this series in 5. I hope it goes longer than this, and maybe Bam's back. I'm not sure if him or Dragic are back, but this was the game we desperately needed in the finals last night. Right. It was great because it gives us that hope and belief that maybe this series is going to go more than 5 games.
The tough part is you look at all of the losses that the Lakers have had in the playoffs, and it's like a monster performance from a superstar on the other team. Like James Harden had 36 when the Rockets pulled off a win. Murray and Jokic combined for 50 when they won. Damian Lillard had a humongous game when the Blazers beat the Lakers in the very first game of the playoffs, 34-5. You got to think Jimmy's got to do it again, but I've seen him play 48 straight minutes in 3 straight playoff games. He can do it.
Did Lillard only have 34 in that game? It felt like he had like 60 in that game because he hit those
1
bombs. Yeah,
that was 10 years ago. I have no idea. Well, LeBron, look, after the game, LeBron is not that concerned. He literally has said as much. I don't feel like we're concerned. We're not concerned. We know we can play a lot better. We have another opportunity to take a commanding lead. I love he threw the commanding lead out on Tuesday. And he gave credit. Don't get me wrong. He gave credit to Jimmy, credit to the coaching staff, how resilient they are, and the guys on that team. But Tass, what do you think moving forward here? Are you worried at all? If you're a Lakers fan, are you concerned? Like we talked about, well, the Heat are scoring pretty solidly right now without some of their guys. We could have Bam back. I think Bam is a strong possibility for Game 4. Who knows with Dragic? But what do you think moving forward in this series? And the storylines change so quickly, right? One day we're saying, oh, looks like a sweep, but now we're suddenly like, oh, maybe they can do this. But what do you think?
I think the money line, the best line should be Lakers in 5 still. They're going to come back for Game 4 big time. They scored 51 points, the starters did, in Game 3, the fewest in a game this postseason. Now, of course, it partly was the Heat having a foot in the lane the entire time. Yep. All 4 guys just not letting LeBron see daylight towards the rim, especially with Bam Adebayo out. And the same for Anthony Davis. But I think that just changes. There's going to be a more aggressive AD that's just, Charles Barkley said the guy's not a killer last series against the Denver Nuggets. And at times it happens to the Los Angeles Lakers. I think they should be the favorite going forward. But I think the biggest difference, the Spoelstra defense was pack the paint, play man, so there aren't any offensive rebounds. But Anthony Davis is going to take far more than 9 shots. I think what really happened to him was Kelly Olynyk doing what he did offensively, 41 points in the last 2 games, phenomenal. But he just stepped under Anthony Davis and took a charge, and that just threw him off. And then he was just in front of Anthony Davis at times, and Anthony Davis just. Whether Frank Vogel probably should have played him a little bit more, but the free throw or the fouls threw him off, and it's an excuse. He just had a terrible game. He was the guy who is the most important player in the series was absolutely invisible, and if you can call him, the most talented player in this series, or the most valuable player in this series, if he's invisible, it's not just the defense. A lot was on him. And he's going to bounce back. I don't think there's any question he bounces back. And I think one of the problems without Goran Dragic is that Jimmy Butler has to create everything. And he was able to just have his guy and the rim as the deterrence. It was just him and the rim at the end of the games because Kelly Olynyk was standing outside. And so there's lots of space. And Bam Adebayo changes that dynamic a little bit, right? Because you can stick, if you're guarding Bam Adebayo, a lot closer to the rim. So that's why Jimmy Butler I thought was great, because there was just so much space out there for him. I'm not saying sit Bam Adebayo at the end of games. But at the same time, I think because the dynamic changes, because they don't have a lot of creators, because the Goran's not there to bail them out. It might be something that to look at a little bit because a second guy would hurt Jimmy. Bam Adebayo, whoever he's covering. AD was basically useless at the end of this game on the defensive end too. He was just standing out with Kelly Olynyk, just hanging out. Didn't even come close to the paint. And all defensive player just hanging out there. So that's something that if Dragic doesn't come back, they should look at as well.
Yeah, obviously Trey pumped that Jimmy Butler goes for 40. You got the triple-double in the finals. Lee, we'll get to the snarl a little bit later when we touch on tweet of the night. But Tyler Herro, you mentioned, you slipped him in there. I think he scored 8 points over the final 7+ minutes. So down the stretch, he was hitting big shots. And this is a good bounce-back performance for this kid.
That layup, that sort of left-handed cross the backboard layup, I don't know if you remember that one. That was just an incredible finish. Like his ability to finish with his offhand at this age is it's remarkable. He's got such great poise, such great composure. There it is. But you know what? I wonder if it's sometimes you're so young you don't know what stage you're on out there, because he is not afraid to take a big shot. And I think he only finished with 2 threes in the end last night. But if his team needs a three, he's like,
I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to take it. I don't really care. So sometimes I think that's what it is. It's like he hasn't been sort of burned in the playoffs in the past where it's like these things can be mentally in the back of your mind. Instead, it's just like, listen, I'm great. I'm a great basketball player. I'm only 20 years old, and I'm going to go out there and perform. And again, 17 points, just fantastic stuff. And look, there are times definitely where the Lakers see him and they're like, well, this is just a kid out here. And he can't sort of keep up with us. And you saw that one play where it was, I think, LeBron and Markieff Morris blocked the shot. And then Markieff Morris was talking trash to him, and Tyler Herro was giving it back as well. I mean, he just doesn't feel intimidated at all when he's out there. And I think that's great. And it's just so important that Jimmy Butler has got these guys who are capable of hitting those threes in Duncan particularly, and Tyler Herro. I mean, Jay Crowder can hit them and Kelly Olynyk can as well. Because if those guys can hit these threes, then it does just give their offense a whole new look, and it's great. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this Tyler Herro experience. I think it's so much fun to watch.
And to have a short memory like that, because he had a brutal game too. I mean, and you could let that like affect your confidence for sure. But yeah, he's like, who cares? He doesn't care at all. He's like, I'll hit the next one. Doesn't matter. And that's great. That can probably get you in trouble at times too. There were even some shots in this one where I was like, okay, man, maybe pass the ball. Let's get a better look here. But you're gonna live with that. He's gonna be one of those type of players probably for his whole career, where you got some 4 for 18s, and then you've got the 37-point games and big shots and clutch shots and stuff like that. You're gonna take the bad with the good in that one. Anything to add to this one, Trey Kirby? Again, this awesome Jimmy Butler Game 3 performance.
Yeah, people have talked for a long time about being able to see the legendary footage of Jimmy taking the third stringers and beating the Timberwolves. This is as close as we got, because last night Jimmy went out there with the starters, literally with the starters, putting out Myers Leonard, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Herro, and Kelly Olynyk, along with Jimmy Butler, to beat LeBron in a finals game. They were wearing black and red. It's still a Bulls win for me.
Wow, look at that. We basically are that team. It's incredible.
Myers Leonard is even from Illinois. Kelly Olynyk, he's Canadian.
Yeah, right. It checks out.
He's got the flamethrower from 3, and he's got the poise. He might be a bit older than 20, but he misses the shot. He's still taking the next one.
Hey, I got ID'd the other day still. Yeah. And I was like, I think it's because I had a mask on, that's a bit of a problem. I was like, I got a weird beard under here now. Like, trust me, this is going to be weird. I'm going to pull this out and you're going to go like, what? I'm old. But here, have at it.
Take a look at this beard.
Yeah, take a look at this beard for sure. Okay, anything, Tass or Lee, that you want to add to this game or moving forward in this series? Like, Lee's obviously you're excited. I asked you on Saturday if this was a sweep. You said yes, and now you're bummed that we got a sweep.
Listen, man, when you are a true neutral, you just want to see a great series. And again, from what we've seen for the bubble in the playoffs, I want nothing more than this to be just a crazy series that we go 6 or 7 games at least, because I think we deserve it. We deserve it. We've earned that, right?
Okay. We personally have earned it.
Yeah. We're still bringing it. We're still bringing it in the finals, so it's up to the NBA to do it as well.
Thank you, Lee. I'm glad you said that. This is our 331st show of the year, of the season. We started on October 14th with season previews. Here we are on October 5th, nearly a full year. There's 366 days in this last year. It was a leap year, so we got 1 extra day. But that's damn impressive. So you're right. We do deserve this, Lee. We deserve for this to go 5 or 6. or more. I mean, 6 or 7
yeah.
is what I meant. Yeah. Tess, anything else to add yet?
It was just weird watching this game and seeing the Lakers bench outperform their starters. It was really weird. Danny Green, again, another bad game, over from the floor. Dwight Howard didn't play a ton. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, bad. But then Kuzma, Morris.
Yeah.
Everybody coming off the bench. They scored 53 points off the bench, tied for the second most in an NBA Finals game since the starters existed. No, since they started tracking it in 70-71. So that was just weird. I don't know what's going on with Danny Green. We thought there would be an inflection point. There would be a point where it turned on for Danny, but it's not happening yet. And then, Kuz and Markieff Morris were awesome. I don't know if they just roll out the same lineup. I assume they will. And these guys just get their fill-in minutes, but at least you can rely on them. At least you can go to the bench if you're Frank Vogel and say, "Oh, we're going to get some good minutes from everybody not named J.R. Smith." Why was J.R. Smith out there? I didn't really,
get that.
The 2-dribble pull-up for a corner three. It's rare to see any dribbles on a corner three, but to make a move to get down there, impressive stuff.
Yeah.
Tass hit on it earlier, though. I think the big change for the Lakers in Game 4 will be less switching and more LeBron saying, I need to take over a little bit here and really put my stamp on this series, just like he did against Jamal Murray when it came time for winning time for the Lakers in their previous series. So I think we'll get a Finals MVP performance from LeBron pretty soon here.
And what do you think? Do you think we see Bam in Game 4, Trey? I know we're just guessing at this point, but he was like going through the workouts in this one. He's asking them to play and stuff like that, and they're trying to prevent him from re-injuring his neck or his arm or whatever the hell's hurting on him. Like, what do you think? Or Dragic for that matter.
Dragic seems less likely to me, right? Just because there's something there that's torn. Anytime something's torn, it's got to be bad. Yeah. And on the other hand, Bam, every time we see him, he's got that gigantic towel rolled around his neck. So,
right.
His head has been supported. It must be pretty healthy. I think he'll probably try and give it a go at some point in this series. Will it be in Game 4? I'm sure the Heat would like it. There was a lot of talk about him maybe showing up. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Can you legally play in a neck brace?
That's a great question.
Is that allowed?
I don't think I've ever seen somebody do that.
Well, I wonder. Well, somebody is Schumann watching? Somebody asked Schumann on that. All right.
This would be the time to try it out. What are they going to say? What are they going to say?
Right.
No, you can't do it in the bubble. There's no rules in the bubble.
Yeah. Okay. At least let him. If not a neck brace, let him do the towel thing. Like, can you play with a towel?
Sure.
I think
they let Anthony Davis wear that compression shirt. Just get like a compression mock turtleneck or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And then at least we can get the everyone's gonna the Lakers will be like, he can't play with a neck brace, and then they come over to the side tray and they're like, well, it doesn't say anywhere in the rule book that he can't play with a neck brace. There we go, got a movie. We're at Walt Disney World. They were writing the movie. It's perfect. All right, let's take a quick break though, and hear from our sponsors.
Oh, yeah, it's me talking about sponsors. We started with 22 teams in Orlando. And now we're down to the final 2. The final 4, old and busted. The final 2, the new hotness. That's right. Basketball's final 2 teams are set to square off to see who will be crowned basketball's champion. There's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports. To celebrate basketball's championship, DraftKings will have millions of dollars in total prizes up for grabs all week long, so get in on all of the action now. If you haven't tried it yet, fantasy basketball is easy to play. Just pick 8 players, stay under the salary cap, and pile up points for threes, rebounds, assists, and more. There's no better way to put your basketball knowledge to the test than to compete for a shot at millions of dollars. With millions of dollars up for grabs this week, there's no better place to have skin in the game than with DraftKings, but it's not just basketball, Lee. Got a couple of football games on tonight, too. Might be nice to have a Patrick Mahomes in the lineup, maybe even an Aaron Rodgers, but don't forget about Calvin Ridley and Sony Michel. It's not just the stars, Lee. You got to cover all the bases. And speaking of bases, Judgy is facing Blake Snell and the Rays tonight. Wow. Who you got, Lee? Yankees or Tampa?
Give me the Judgy. Yeah.
Give me the Judgy. Give me the Judgy.
The judge.
Here comes the Judge. You can go download the DraftKings app now and use promo code RUN to get a free shot at millions of dollars up for grabs this week with your first deposit. That's promo code RUN to get a free shot at millions of dollars with your first deposit only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
So how many teams are left in baseball then now? What do we have?
Great question.
16?
Well,
What?
Oh,
Didn't they
eight.
Eight. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're done the first round, the best of 3. We're into the best of 5s in their bubble situations now.
Now we're into the real playoffs.
Now, right.
Like what the standard playoffs would be, right?
Okay. So, and we got the Tampa Bay versus the Yankees, do we? Exciting stuff. All right, Lee. So, Judge, home run,
That's
socking
it.
dingers tonight, eh?
He'll be socking dingers left and right. Yeah. Give me Judge's dread. Nah, doesn't really work.
Quick correction coming in here from the stream team. Apparently, Sony Michel is out tonight, so don't add him to your DraftKings roster. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to keep up with all of these injury reports, Lee? It's impossible.
Sony. I've never heard that name Sony before. You know, Sonny. There's a few Sonnies out there, but not a Sony.
No.
I'm more a Samsung man myself.
Yeah, I've got a friend named Panasonic.
Yeah. I've never heard of Sonos before, but I've heard of Sonos. And Cam Newton contracted COVID. He's not playing tonight, is he? Yeah, the Patriots had to fly 2 different planes to this game against KC. The ones who came into contact with the Cam man and the ones who did not. But I think they're playing.
Jeez. Well, yeah, didn't they canceled or suspended or whatever, pushed back a Titans game, right? Because they had a bunch of cases.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Let's hit the beach. Oh, yeah. On the beach. Email your questions in. NoDunks@theathletic.com. Tweet them in at NoDunksInc. We got a few here before we officially step on the beach later this week. What do we got here, Tess?
Hello, fellas. Oh, we left this first part in. Watch this. Thanks for all the great content going back to the TBJ days. I've always appreciated how you guys have been able to strike a nice balance of fun conversation with nerdy basketball nuance. I never know if I'm going to come away with from a podcast laughing, learning something new, or both. Thanks. That's my question. With Kyrie saying on KD's podcast that Brooklyn will have a collaborative coaching environment, and even stating that he or KD could be head coach for a day, it got me thinking, what current star player do you think has the attributes of a great coach? Please don't say LeBron. His basketball IQ, experience, and accolades make him an obvious choice. To Avi, my pick is Kyrie as a Phil Jackson type. He's philosophical, an outside-the-box thinker, and has been around a surprising amount of good players, coaches, and systems. I know he wasn't an ideal leader in Boston, but maybe as he ages into his 40s, 50s, and beyond, he becomes wiser and grows into more of a mentor role. That's from Eric in Portland. Star player, becoming a coach. What do you think, Lee?
So, yeah, it's an interesting question because there's always been guys like Derek Fisher, for example, when he was playing, people said, he'll be a great coach, but he went to the Knicks and he didn't really do all that well. But largely, again, because of the situation and the players that he had. So, that's ultimately what it comes down to. But I think a guy who will make the transition into coaching and will be good at it because he's been on star teams, but he's never been a superstar. He's been an all-star, but not an all-NBA player, is Andre Iguodala. I really think he's a very good communicator. He's very well respected in any locker room that he's been in. I remember back to the Warriors days there, that what a lot of the players liked about him is how hard he worked and how well he prepared himself and got his body ready to play and accepted as well that role. Remember, he didn't want to come off the bench, and eventually he did, and he became so good at it, he won Finals MVP. So, he's the sort of guy who really can sort of adapt and adjust and does put his ego to the side. So I think he would be a great communicator. He's a bit of an outside-the-box thinker as well. He does a few things, excuse me, that sort of show that he's trying to think of beyond the game itself. So I think he will one day be a good head coach in the NBA if he chooses to pursue it. He might have higher things in his life that he wants to achieve, but if he does stay in the basketball world, I think he'll be a very, very good coach.
It's a good one. Who do you got, Trey?
Andre Iguodala was the top of my list, and exactly for the reasons Lee was saying. He's been a star and an all-star, and he's also been a guy who's just a glue guy for your team. But I got to agree with the stream team. Kyle Lowry would be a great head coach eventually someday because you really think Chris Paul first when you're talking about that type of player. But Chris Paul, I feel like, would take the wins and losses every single night a little bit too seriously. He probably would go overboard sometimes. It might be a lot like Doc Rivers as a coach right now. Give me Kyle Lowry. He's got a slightly gentler nature than Chris Paul. And like Andre Iguodala, like Chris Paul, he is a guy who's had to get by mostly on basketball smarts and knowing where to be.
That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, Iguodala might be like Doc Rivers too, that he likes to golf. They're just always out there golfing and no practice and stuff like that. You never know.
Yeah.
Anyone else to add, Tass? I know we've had this question, we've done this for a long time. We have this question every couple of years, but one of the names the guys mentioned, somebody else that comes to mind as a player that could be a great coach?
Yeah, I'm with the Chris Paul train. I think, maybe he may have been a little bit more fiery in his younger years, but as Eric in Portland implied about Kyrie, maybe he grows into a mentor role. I think that's happened to Chris Paul. I think he definitely cares about guys. He gives people directions, obviously, on the floor. You can see him as the president of the NBA PA that he is. He's already coaching now. I mean, he's a mentor already.
He's a leader, yeah.
Yeah, and I think even though he is hard on guys, it's no doubt, and he's fiery, and he's gotten into it with, reportedly with Blake and DeAndre Jordan, and even James Harden for sure. I don't know. I think he would be different as a coach, and he would care about his players. I'm buying it. I'm buying the Chris Paul thing if he's into it.
What did we think about the Chris Paul interview last night while the game was going on? He's in the virtual board. We're doing a nice little zoom in. What do you think there, Lily?
Yeah, it was fine. It's not great TV, to be honest.
Yes, I agree.
So
it's weird. Well, just do it at halftime, as a lot of people pointed out. But maybe they just wanted to show off that cool virtual board for the last couple of times. Not a lot more use out of it, probably. But asked about sort of the whole what's going to go happen with his team. Just wants to hoop. That's all he said. So diplomatic answer there. Who knows if he's going to be with OKC? You would think they're going to try and move him, but we will see. Those are all great answers. I had a lot of those guys on my list too, and I'm sure the YouTube chats, the stream team, as you call them there, Trey, have got some other answers. Anyone, did you see any of note that we need to throw in here?
Joakim Noah, can't imagine him as a coach. Klay Thompson, can't imagine him doing anything involving basketball after his career is over. And of course, anytime you ask a question, somebody's going to suggest Boban, which would be hilarious to see that guy in a suit every single night.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Okay, great answers, sort of. Next one here.
Answers, at least.
Yes, answers. Hello, my No Dunks crew. As a longtime listener, I have never felt the urge to write in, as the content and the Q&As on Beach Steppin' always keep me entertained. So that's good. But this week, however, that all changed. When Lee called Skeetsy Phil, I cannot stop thinking about it. It was awkward and strange. I just plain don't like it. My question is, which NBA player can you not call by their real name? Is there someone whose nickname has become so synonymous with the player that calling them by their legal name gives you the heebie-jeebies, just like Lee did to me? Yes. This guy, Trent, who says no rhyme, just love, Trent from Melbourne, Lee, you gave him the heebie-jeebies because you accidentally called me Phil, which you're always good for once every couple of months on the podcast here. Always slips out. But yeah, is there another NBA player, Trey, I'll go to you first, that you just can't call them their legal name. It's their other name.
Yeah, we haven't seen him play in a while, but I think DeMarcus Cousins has become Boogie Cousins. You rarely call him Cousins to begin with. You rarely hear DeMarcus. He's just Boogie at this point because it sounds awesome. Calling a guy Boogie is fun. There was a booger that called Monday Night Football, played in the NFL. You got to have a booger or a boogie around. Skeets, I know you pronounce it boogie, but
I say booger, booger, yeah.
Booger and Boogie, but yeah, Boogie Cousins he's become Boogie officially for everyone, I would have to think.
The Booger McFarland has been compared to Zion Williamson recently. People thinking Zion Williamson might get big. He could look like Booger McFarland. Booger, don't call me Booger McFarland.
What did that guy do? I don't know. I know who you're talking about, of course, but was he a former player?
Yeah. He's an NFL player.
What did he play though?
Line. I think he was a defensive lineman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
he's just a big dude.
He's a DT.
Man, I actually think he was a nose tackle, and now I'm realizing that if he was a nose tackle, and his name is Booger, that's genius, man.
That's very, very smart. Do you, Lee, have any other guys that fit this bill here?
Well, Steph Curry's name isn't Steph. That's
nice.
It's like a JD Terrence there. He's a Wardell Stephen Curry because his father is also Wardell.
Right.
But I'm just trying to think. Remember when those Christmas Day games a few years ago? I don't know, maybe 5 years ago now, when they had their first names on the back. Did he go with Steph or did he go with Wardell? I think he probably went with Steph.
Stephen probably.
Yeah. But it is funny when you think we talk about Del Curry and we talk about Steph, but they're both actually Dells.
Right.
You know,
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's a very Terrence JD situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are they farmers? Are they farmer in the Dells? No.
Do you have anyone there, Tess?
Well, we've talked so much about Doc Rivers. He's not Doc.
Yeah.
He's Glenn, as Big Baby Davis called him once, right? I think he was.
Didn't
Big Baby
Draymond
Davis
Green
was-
call him that?
Cool
Oh, it was
story,
Draymond.
Cool
My
story,
bad, yeah.
Glenn. Yeah.
Cool story, Glenn. That's my bad. Yeah, I was getting Glenn's confused because Big Baby is also a Glenn Davis. And JJ Redick. I went through guys' names. I didn't ever know what JJ Redick's actual name was, so I was just surprised that his name is Jonathan Clay Redick.
I didn't know that. I actually thought his name was technically JJ. I guess not, obviously.
No idea where it came from, where JJ came from, where it started. But yeah, I could see him being a Clay as well. He could rock a Clay.
Clay Redick. Sharpshooter Clay Redick. All right, let's hear from you guys with that one, at least on Twitter, at NoDunksInc, or in the YouTube comments. A player that you just can't even call by their legal name anymore. There's obviously a ton. There's a ton out there. All right, let's take one more quick break before Tweet of the Night. Time for Tweet of the Night.
Tweet of the night. Wow.
Twitter.
Tweet of the Night is actually Tweet of the Morning, because this one comes from the Athletics' own John Hollinger, talking about the snarl from Tyler Herro. John Hollinger's caption, fantastic. I actually snorted out loud reading this one. 18-year-old me walking out of the AP calculus exam. John Hollinger's a numbers man. He was feeling good when he was 18-year-old with that exam, dropping the snarl like Tyler Herro. He looks so young in this photo. I mean, he's only 20. He looks like 8 years old. I'm putting you guys on the spot. I know you would probably remember, Trey, because you probably have the photo somewhere. I remember there was a weird photo of me back at like the Basketball Jones days where I don't know why, but someone took the task. You might remember too. Someone took a photo of me like they're really high. They're standing on a chair, because when I wear a hat, I'm wearing a hat right now backwards, but when I wear a hat forward, pre-beard at least, I look like I'm like 6 years old. I'm definitely getting ID'd if I'm buying booze with the hat forward and no beard. And you know what photo I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. I think you're like wearing a Boston hat or something like that. You definitely look like a Tyler Herro.
I look like a kid, and that's exactly what Tyler Herro looks like, I think, to me. Snarling. But that is a funny caption from Hollinger there, Lee. He's a numbers guy. I mean, look, if Schumann had tweeted that, I would have laughed just as hard. If Pelton had tweeted that, just as hard. You know, these numbers guys, they got a sense of humor is what I like about these guys. They're not just robots, you know?
It was a great snarl. It was a great snarl because, he's just got a little bit of wispy hair at the bottom of the chin there. Not a whole lot going on, but he's big time, man. He's great.
His hair looks like a Tass after a good run. Wild.
I like that there's like a different snarl for every generation, because as soon as he snarled, my dad, he's a super old guy. He texted me, he's like, just like Elvis. Just like Elvis? Tyler Herro, just like Elvis. Elvis has been dead for like 40 years before Tyler Herro was born. But other people, for me, it's like Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day. I saw Sid Vicious as well.
Sid Vicious, yep.
Somebody snarling for generations upon generations.
Great stuff. Thanks to Hollinger for Tweet of the Morning. Again, I cheated a little bit. I think that one came out this morning. All right, let's
gotta address something here real quick. Skeets got this from Ishmael Santiago, part of the stream team. We asked him to play in a neck brace. Gerald Henderson Sr. back in the day did play in a neck brace.
My God, he's rocking the Blazers there too. Those are sick.
What a setup this guy's got.
That's amazing. So hey, look, it's not in the rule book. You can do it, I guess, unless they changed it. That is crazy.
That is incredible, isn't it?
Wow. All right. Bam's
That's
going to play
for working on your handles, I would think, because there's no way you can look down at the ball.
Yeah, keep your head up.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe someone's just like you put a dog cone thing on a dog, it won't stop like biting something that it shouldn't, and keep your head up. Yeah, really work on your performance.
That was Gerald Henderson Sr.
Yeah, this is Calvin Murphy actually as well, and he played in the full-on this kind of hockey helmet on.
That's a hockey helmet
with the top cut off.
Yeah, they can breathe. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, I hope we see some of this in the finals here.
We need the neck brace underneath that one there.
Oh wow. Yeah. Full on headgear. Okay. Thank you for that. Great stuff.
You remember, so that was Gerald Henderson Sr. in the first one. I recently saw the highlight that we played 1 billion times in our 6 years as the starters. Gerald Henderson, the junior, throwing a ball into the stands and a lady taking it directly off the face. She could have used a neck brace for that. She's fine.
Or a helmet.
Or a helmet, either one. Or not looking at her neighbor's phone. That would have helped. She had her face down. She took it right in the glasses. I think she was okay, though.
Yeah. She had the Lee Ellis glasses going flying on that one. That's such a great clip, though.
The breakdown is so funny, too.
So good. So good. We could have played it another billion times. All right, that's it for us today. We're going to be back on Wednesday morning to break down game for the NBA Finals. Keep your questions and your comments coming for the next Beach Steppin' podcast. We'll hit the sand on Thursday. So you got a couple days here to get your questions in. No Dunks at theathletic.com. Tweet them in if you want at No Dunks Inc. Go grab yourself some sweet No Dunks merchandise at nodunks.com. That's the simple website. And if you haven't already, I keep telling you guys, and I know a lot of you have, so thank you. Subscribe to The Athletic. Tell them we sent you. Go to theathletic.com/nodunks, and you can sign up still right now for $1 a month. So make sure you take advantage of that unbelievable deal. Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, what podcast is this today? What number we got, Skeets?
331.
Wow. Somebody said in the comments, we are the Cal Ripken of basketball podcast. Not a compliment to me. That's not a compliment. What? Do it day in and day out. I'm not. There's better than Cal. I like Cal. You want to. I mean, he was great, but don't you want a little bit of flash, a little bit of flair? He was solid. He's solid.
Sure,
he's not. Sure. It's better than the AC Green of podcasts, I guess.
Oh yeah,
maybe maybe I don't know. Even an Aaron Judge, a podcast would be better. An Ozzie Smith.
Well, we're not going to be Cal Ripken because we're not doing a podcast tomorrow. So we'll see you guys on Wednesday. Embrace the day, people.